and I do want to push back a tiny bit on the intent behind some of the nepotism.
Sure.
Sometimes it's very relationship based business.
Yes.
And sometimes it's just easier to get things done by calling somebody you know who will deliver for you and making sure you meet your deadlines. It's not always exclusionary practices are not always the intent. I'm not saying that they are never the intent by any means,
no,
but
for sure.
yeah.
Yes, and I can understand that, Ben.
Mhm.
Except look, ultimately you have to deliver, right?
Mhm.
And you want people on your team that can deliver. So I of course understand that, but at the same time, if you are in that driver's seat, I believe that you have a responsibility to open the door. So even if you're not opening the door, certainly for an upper level type of position, and when you're building, your team with those that can deliver, absolutely. Again, I believe it's a responsibility to offer opportunities to those that first of all, they deserve the shot. They
Mhm.
absolutely deserve the shot. And if you don't give them the shot, then you're expecting someone else to. There's just a consciousness, there's a
Mhm.
consciousness, Ben, that is necessary. And that's why the unconscious bias aspect of the conversation, sadly, is people who don't even realize that they actually have the power to open the door.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I do think that there is enough of a demand for diverse content that there's kind of the opposite end of the coin here, which is because there's a demand for it, there are a lot of unscrupulous actors who will gobble up diverse content and just use the old shotgunning model, which is throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. And with certain elements of diverse content, it's very, very easy to get those placed on AVOD right now, which means a lot of distributors are just kind of acting like high price aggregators to a level and pushing films out there on the assumption that 2 in 10 will make money and the rest will lose, but the 2 that made money will be more than enough to make the distributor's bottom line happy. And I disagree. I mean, there's always going to be some degree of that in distribution. It's just the nature of the game. But I don't think that that justifies just dropping everything you can as quickly as you can, which is what the way a lot of distributors go. And it kind of is counterintuitive. It kind of does a lot of damage to the diversification of Hollywood because people will use those 2 in 10 numbers to say, oh, well, it didn't really perform that well, so we're not taking on that sort of content anymore. Even though a lot of it is just that you didn't put the proper work into it. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Most of the time, yeah. Most of the time, that's the case. Well, first of all, look, it has to be good.
yeah.
It certainly has to be good enough that it builds a buzz, after the initial weekend, right? Opening weekend. So that then in those communities and in circles and just buzz, I mean, the power of that. But there needs to be enough of an effort and enough funds and enough support initially behind everything to properly market it. So you can't blame the filmmakers for the lack of that.